So I repeat, JDBC is the abbreviation of Java Database Connectivity, and it is an API, and by using JDBC you can access to many types of database with exactly the same Java syntax. So we will use the same Java syntax. For this reason, JDBC is provided by JDBC is provided by, have you an idea? So we will use JDBC in Java servlets or in GSP page to make connection with database. But JDBC is provided by the vendor. So for example, Oracle prepare a JDBC driver. Okay. MySQL provide also JDBC driver, etc. Good. So to make connection with a database, there are 7 steps. Can you give me the steps how we can connect between a Java program, in our case Java program is Java servlet, and a database, how we can connect? So there are 7 steps. The first one is load the JDBC driver. The second one is define the connection URL. The third step is establish the connection. So what's the meaning of establish the connection for a programmer? Yes, so yes, if we talk about coding, establish the connection, that means we will create an object connection. Okay, we will create an object connection, and to create the connection object, so to create this connection, we will use the connection URL. After that, we will create a statement object. So to create a statement object, we will use what? To create statement object, we will use the connection object. After that, we will execute a query or update. So to execute a query, we will use statement. And to process the result set is the result of the execution of this query. After that, we must close connection and statement. So keep in mind that there are 7 steps for database access. The first one is to load the JDBC driver. The second one to define the connection URL. The third one to establish the connection. Establish the connection, that means we will create an object, and the type of this object is connection, java.sql.connection. After that, we will create a statement, and the statement, to create this statement object, we will use the connection object. After that, we will execute a query or update, and to execute this query, we will use the statement object. After that, we will process the result of this query. So the result of this query is an object. The type of this object is a result set. And the final step is to close the statement and the connection. Any questions about this slide? Any questions? So to define the connection URL, are you here? Okay, so to define the connection URL, this URL depends on the database server. So for example, for Oracle, we will create our URL like this. For Sysbase, we will create our URL with another manner. For Microsoft Access, the URL does not contain login and password. So for Access, we just we have to provide only the database name. So here we will establish the connection with creation of the object connection. So we will write driver manager dot get connection, etc. We can get some metadata. So what's the meaning of metadata? Yes, information about the data or the database. For example, if we want to get the database product name, we just use this method. So we will create a database metadata object, and after that, by invoking get database product name, we will find the product name. The product version also can be extracted by using the method get database product version, etc. So for example, we can using metadata, we can, for example, get information about the result set, the number, get information about any table, the number of columns in this table, etc. So we can code a generic method to connect to any table and to get the content of this table by using metadata. Any questions? After that, we will create statement. So statement is created by connection.createStatement. After that, we will execute query. So when we invoke the method execute query on the object statement, we must provide the query. So the query in our Example here, we want to select column 1, column 2, column 3 from some table, and the result will be an object, and the type of this object is result set. So in our case, result set represents the response of the query select column 1, column 2, column 3 from some table. If we want to modify a table, for example, we want to insert some data in this table, we will use not execute query method, but execute update. Any questions about this slide? After that, we will process the result. So to process the result, we will use while loop, result set.next, and after that we can use get string 1, get string 2, get string first name. So here we will use the index of the column. This is the first manner. The second manner is to use the name of the column. So there are two manners. We can use the index. So result set.get string 1, that means we want to extract the value of the first column. But result set.get string first name, that means we want to extract the value of the column first name. So to close the connection, we just write connection.close. So let's move now to prepared statement. Prepared statement is used to avoid SQL injection, to improve the security of our web application. And to create a prepared statement with Java, we just write prepared statement. This is a predefined type statement equal connection dot prepared statement. So this is the manner. So prepared statement. This is predefined type statement equal connection dot prepared statement. So the difference between a simple statement and a prepared statement, and the prepared statement we will use a template with the interrogation mark like this. After that we will set the value of this mark by some value. So this is the first one. This one is for the second mark. This is prepared statement. So there are many advantages of prepared statement. The performance. So using prepared statement we can increase the performance of our code. Also security is another advantage. So we recommend that you always use a prepared statement or start procedure to update the database values when accepting input from a user through an HTML form. Any questions? So to avoid an SQL injection attack when accepting data from an HTML form, we have to use a prepared statement. Let's move now to callable statement. So callable statement is another type of statement, and with a callable statement, you can execute a stored procedure or function in database. For example, in Oracle database, you can write a procedure or function in PL/SQL and store it in the database along with the tables. So function in PL/SQL, that means a program writing in this language, and this program will execute some updates or some queries on our database. Then you can create a connection to the database and execute the stored procedure or function through a callable statement. So keep in the mind that callable statement is used to execute a function or procedure written in PL/SQL to perform some queries or some operations in our database. So the question is, what are the advantages of callable statement? So there are many advantages. For example, syntax error are caught at compile time, not at runtime. Also, the database procedure may run much faster than a regular SQL query. The programmer only needs to know about only the input and output parameters, not the table structure. So for all these reasons, we have to use procedures and functions, and to execute these functions, we must use callable statement in Java. One disadvantage of callable statement is that you may need to learn a new database specific language. So how we can create callable statement? So there are also some steps. The first one, we will define the call to the database procedure. After that, we will prepare a callable statement for the procedure, register the output parameter types, provide values for the input parameters, execute the stored procedure, and after that, access the returned output parameters. Also, using a database, you can avoid that the change of our database is automatically committed. So we have to turn off by programming to commit the transactions automatically. So in this case, if the updates execute successfully, then the changes can later be committed to our database. So this approach is known as transaction management. So in Java, to avoid or to turn off the auto commit of a transaction, we just use set auto commit false. So calling the method set auto commit and with a parameter false, that means we will turn off auto commit of our transaction. Any questions about this chapter? Yes, please. No, no coding. For servlet, you just make copy paste from just a moment please, I will check the number of the slides. Okay. Just a moment, please. Yes, of course, inshallah. I will send you the study guide next week, inshallah. Ahmad, I will send you an email if you want, because I cannot hear. Ahmad, you are here? Are you here? I'm sorry, because my laptop is damaged. So this is another laptop, and I cannot. I have not the NetBeans or Eclipse to perform to create a Java a servlet. But just for this assignment, you have to create a simple servlet like this, prepare a print writer out, and after that we write out.println and the code of HTML. Now it is not important now. Other questions? For servlet, so you need to import java.eu, because we will use input output, we will create print writer, etc. You need also to import javax.servlet and javax.http servlet. Just a moment, I will write web chapters. Just a moment, please. Okay, I send an email to all the users, all the students, but I can resend another email for you. So for Ahmed, there are three import java.eu, input output, because we use the print writer. After that, import javax.servlet.star and javax.servlet.http.star, because we will use HTTP servlet. So you have to write 3 lines: import java.eu, javax.servlet, and javax.servlet.http. Yes. So for Ahmed and Mr. Ramzi, can you please send me an email and I will respond to you with so for Mr. Ahmed, I will send you the last face-to-face slides, and for Mr. Ramzi, I will send you the PHP slides. Okay? Good. Other questions? You are welcome.